All right, let's talk about the curtain coming down on the January 6th Salem witch trials, the most insufferable TV, self-aggrandizing, self-congratulatory Broadway theater political propaganda bullshit I've ever seen in my life. Oh, that's right. The phony January 6th committee with the biggest bunch of reprehensible, slimy, empty suit losers dropped the curtain on their failure of a show trial today. You know, we were promised evidence that directly supports criminal charges against President Trump. Well, folks, you've been lied to for a year and a half now. A political hit job, that's all this has been. A committee of partisan hack, left-wing kooks who are so afraid of one man and his ability to continually expose them and their never-ending desire to get them that they lied, hid evidence, selected their witnesses, and absolutely accomplished nothing. Meanwhile, the sick irony right now is that we have the Twitter files being dropped, which actually are producing real evidence, unlike what this committee did, of an effort to interfere with a democratic election, only by the FBI and social media companies working together, of course, urged on by these same Democrats. And that's the joke of it all. The committee, Jamie Raskin, who attempted to unlawfully stop certification in 2016. Oh, yes, he did. Now announcing criminal referrals. Who's Jamie Raskin, you ask? Oh, this is him.
For what purpose is the member right?
I have an objection because 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified because they violated Florida's prohibition against dual office holding.
Debate is out of order. Section 15 and 17 of the Title III of the United States Codes require that any objection be presented in writing, signed by both members of the House of both a member of the House of Representatives and a senator. Is the objection in writing and signed not only by the member of the House of Representatives but also by a senator?
It is in writing, Mr. President.
Is it signed by a senator?
Not as of yet, Mr.
Maryland has been a leader in trying to get the country to move to a national popular vote, which obviously would have given us a different result in this election than the Electoral College vote. But there is an Electoral College vote happening on December 19th. And look, the last remaining argument for the Electoral College is that the people are deliberative and they get to make the wisest choice and to exercise their judgment. But I think that reason for having the Electoral College and using it in this way is rapidly vanishing because it seems like the electors are just going to automatically, robotically vote for the candidates that they were pledged to. So we really need to use this as an occasion for the country to have a discussion about moving to a national popular vote. We should elect the president the same way we elect our governors and our U.S. senators and our mayors. Whoever gets the most votes wins. And each of our votes is equal, and we don't have safe states and swing states. All of us are part of a swing state, and everybody's vote matters to the outcome.
Now, that sounds like an attack on our institutions to me. I don't know about you. Getting rid of the Electoral College seems like Mr. Raskin wants our elections only coming from New York and California. They're the only ones who get to decide the popular vote. That's an attack on our institution, wouldn't you say? That's Jamie Raskin standing up in 2016 saying, oh, no, I object to these electors. Oh, what do you know? Of course, they're all so phony. They think that you're not going to go watch the video, or they simply just don't care because they have the media with them. They have the Department of Justice with them, and they're on an all-out assault to get Trump at no matter what. So Jamie Raskin announces today obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the U.S., perjury, insurrection against the U.S., insurrection. Folks, there's been 800 plus people that have been arrested and charged for what they did that day. Do you know how many people were charged supposedly inspired by President Trump? Do you know how many of them have been charged with insurrection? Not a single one. Not a one. Not a single charge of insurrection. But today, insurrection against the president. Meanwhile, 800 people have been arrested, and there's not one insurrection charge, as they supposedly have been inspired. The president, the actionable intelligence that the president made them go do this. Well, there hasn't been any of that, of course. Their action today in this trial was what he didn't do. He sat there too long. He watched on TV. Inaction, inaction, inaction. That's all they gave us. There's one line in this whole joke of a hearing today that we should all be focused on because it's been the destination the whole time. Quote, a grave federal offense disqualifying from holding future office, end quote. And that's been the destination. Preventing Trump from running has been the entire point of all of this from the very beginning.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did. So I know that he knows that this wasn't on the level.
The electors meet tomorrow, and there has been this campaign to try to get some of them to not vote for Donald Trump, to be faithless electors. Some Hollywood celebrities have put out a video appealing to them, even appealing to specific electors by name. Any hope that anything other than Donald Trump becoming president will happen tomorrow? John Podesta, Clinton's campaign chairman, has been pushing for these electors to get a security briefing about the role that Russia played. The director of national intelligence said, no, that briefing's not going to happen. So I can't say that it's just Hollywood liberals and actors. The Clinton campaign has a hand in this, too.
Thank you, Mr. President. I object to a certificate from the state of North Carolina based on violations of the Voting Rights Act.
There is no debate in the joint session. The chair has previously ruled a signature from a senator is required. Is there a signature from a senator?
There is a signature from the House of Representatives, myself.
The objection cannot be received without a signature from the senator.
Mr. President, I object on behalf of the millions of Americans, including members of the intelligence community.
There is no debate. Debate is prohibited.
Interfered in our election.
The chair has previously ruled a signature from a senator is required. The objection cannot be sustained unless one is available.
Mr. President, despite grave concerns of the intelligence officials showing
Objection
Russia
cannot be
interfered with
received.
our election, it is signed by myself.
Senator Klobuchar.
and by a senator.
Senator Klobuchar, to continue the tally.
To the votes from the state of Wisconsin, which should not be legally certified
debate.
or regularly
Does
given.
the gentlelady, does she?
In the city of Milwaukee, 60,000.
Please come to order. The chair has previously ruled. The gentlewoman will suspend. As the chair has previously ruled, a signature from a senator is required. Is there such a signature?
I do have a written document with
The
my
objection
signature on it
cannot be
seeking a senator,
received.
but the Russian intrusion, foreign
The clerk will continue to call the roll.
I wish to ask, is there one United States senator who will join me in this letter
There
of
is no
objection?
debate. There is no debate.
That's one.
The gentlewoman will suspend.
And there you have it, folks. A little walk down memory lane. Some of the same people now involved yelling, screaming, bringing charges against the former president, saying he has no right to be challenging the Electoral College process. The vice president had nothing to do that day. There's no way he could have sent electors back or challenged the Electoral College process. Well, they were doing it in 2016. And as we all know, the entire Electoral College process depends on the integrity of the state's votes and the certification of those votes. What happened in 2020? Of course, we know there was challenges in all of these states as electors came to Congress in places that they should have been challenged, where the voting was changed, where the state legislatures didn't have control of what votes and how votes were cast and what votes were counted. Votes that would not have been counted just 6 months prior to the 2020 election were counted on that faithful day in November. So if you have a state or many states that send electors to the Electoral College, the governor signs off on them, signs a certificate of ascertainment. It goes to the Archivist of the United States, then it goes to the joint session of Congress on January 6th. Well, if it can be argued that those electors could be illegitimate because the state legislatures didn't follow their own state's constitution, and we've talked about this in Pennsylvania, very specific things that have to happen for the way voting is conducted in Pennsylvania did not happen. We've talked about Georgia, Stacey Abrams with a dissent decree the state legislature did not know about. Well, if Congress is the final arbiter of all of this, what are you supposed to do? The idea that the vice president could not have challenged these electors in the way they were sent to Congress is something that I just don't agree with. And I've talked about this. The Republicans lose this debate because they don't talk about it from that side. Folks, this farce of a committee obviously had a predisposed conclusion that they were going to get to no matter what. You know, you would figure in something this big, supposedly, insurrection against the United States, this committee would want to interview the top law enforcement official in the United States, would be Christopher Wray, of course, at the FBI. Well, Christopher Wray's name is not even mentioned in the 160-page summary of the January 6th report that was released today. All right, couple tweets I want to show you that caught my attention as well that are kind of amusing on where we are. Representative Claudia Tenney says the January 6th committee produced a highly scripted, made-for-TV event featuring many elements of a Soviet-style show trial. Due process was disregarded while facts and witnesses were manipulated, all to support a predetermined outcome for purely political reasons. And she's absolutely right about that. And one final one that I think is a great way to end this video. Scott Adams says, the January 6th committee reminds America that we can never again allow a small band of unarmed protesters to conquer the largest military power in the history of human civilization by sauntering through the Capitol Rotunda and taking selfies. We were so close to losing everything. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this one. Make sure you support our sponsor, Mike Lindell, MyPillow, MyPillow.com. Use our code LFS6B at checkout for 10 to 60% off, and I'll see you in the next one.